You didn't imagine it. Something shifted in that relationship, and it wasn't random. They changed. The connection broke, and it hurt more than you expected. But what you felt wasn't rejection, it was intervention. God didn't allow it to continue because He saw what it would have cost you. What looked like loss was actually divine protection in motion. By the end of this message, you'll understand why God stepped in exactly when He did, and why that door will never reopen. Have you ever experienced that moment when someone you cared about suddenly became distant? When conversations that once flowed naturally turned awkward and strained? When the person who used to seek your company began avoiding your presence? You didn't cause this. You weren't asking for too much. You didn't miss some crucial sign or fail to say the right words. What happened wasn't about your worth or your value. It was about God's active intervention in your life. This kind of separation creates a unique type of confusion because it feels so sudden and unexplained. One day you're building something meaningful with someone, and the next day it's as if an invisible wall has been erected between you. You replay conversations in your mind, searching for the moment things went wrong. You wonder if you said something offensive, or if you misread the entire situation. But the truth is far simpler and far more profound than anything you could have done or failed to do. God saw what you couldn't see. He witnessed the trajectory of that connection and recognized where it was leading. While you were focused on the present moment, enjoying the companionship and the emotional bond, God was looking at the complete picture. He saw the patterns that hadn't fully emerged yet. He recognized the character traits that were still hidden beneath surface charm. He understood the spiritual dynamics that would have eventually surfaced and caused devastation. And this is where most people misunderstand what God was doing. They interpret the separation as abandonment or as evidence that God doesn't care about their happiness. They assume that if God truly loved them, He would have made the relationship work. But divine love operates on a completely different principle than human emotion. God's love protects even when that protection feels painful initially. Think about this carefully. When God intervenes to create distance between you and someone else, He's not responding to what's happening in the moment. He's responding to what He knows will happen if that connection continues to deepen. God sees the emotional dependency that would have developed. He sees the compromise of values that would have gradually occurred. He sees the spiritual warfare that person would have brought into your life. He sees the way your peace would have slowly eroded as you tried to manage their instability or accommodate their dysfunction. God blocked what your heart couldn't release. This is perhaps the most crucial aspect of divine intervention in relationships. When we develop emotional attachments, especially deep ones, we lose our ability to see clearly. Love, or what we think is love, creates a kind of spiritual blindness that makes it nearly impossible to recognize red flags or to walk away from situations that are harming us. Our hearts become invested in outcomes that our spirits know are dangerous. So God steps in and does what we cannot do for ourselves. He creates circumstances that force separation. He allows misunderstandings to arise that cannot be easily resolved. He permits the other person's true nature to surface in ways that make continued connection impossible. He orchestrates events that make it clear the relationship cannot continue. This isn't cruelty. This is divine mercy operating at the highest level. Separation was mercy, not loss. God didn't take something from you. He took something off you. He removed a burden you didn't even realize you were carrying. He lifted a weight that was gradually crushing your spirit. He pulled you out of a current that was slowly dragging you away from your purpose and your peace. This kind of divine protection operates through what appears to be natural circumstances, but it's actually supernatural intervention. God doesn't usually send angels to physically separate people. Instead, He works through the normal flow of life to create the conditions necessary for protection. He allows people to reveal their true character at exactly the right moment. He permits situations to develop that make the incompatibility obvious. He orchestrates timing so that separation occurs before permanent damage is done. Your peace left because God was protecting it. Have you noticed how certain people can drain your sense of well-being without doing anything obviously wrong? How some connections leave you feeling anxious, confused, or emotionally exhausted? That's not a coincidence. That's your spirit responding to spiritual dynamics that your mind hasn't fully processed yet. When God removes someone from your life, He's often restoring peace that was being gradually stolen. Your anxiety wasn't a weakness. It was a warning system that God built into your spirit to alert you when something isn't right. But because we live in a culture that teaches us to ignore our instincts and push through discomfort, we often override these internal warnings. We tell ourselves we're being too sensitive or too cautious. We convince ourselves that the uneasiness will pass if we just try harder or love more. But God, in His mercy, doesn't allow us to stay in situations that are slowly destroying our spiritual equilibrium. This is where God's protection becomes clear. When you look back at relationships or connections that God severed, you begin to see patterns you missed in the moment. You recognize the manipulation that was disguised as affection. You see the control that was presented as concern. You understand the spiritual darkness that was hidden beneath attractive packaging. You realize that what felt like loss was actually rescue. God doesn't remove what's meant to stay. This is a fundamental principle of divine intervention. When God closes a door and keeps it closed, it's because what's behind that door was never meant to be part of your story. The person He removed wasn't your missing piece. The opportunity He blocked wasn't your destiny. The connection He severed wasn't your future. What left was the obstacle that was preventing you from reaching what God actually has prepared for you. What you experienced as rejection was actually redirection. God was steering you away from a path that would have led to heartbreak, compromise, or spiritual decline. He was protecting not just your present well-being, but your future purpose. He was preserving your capacity to love in healthy ways by preventing you from pouring your heart into something that would have damaged your ability to trust and connect authentically. The door remains closed because God's protection remains active. This isn't temporary divine intervention that will be reversed when you prove yourself worthy or when you've learned the right lessons. This is permanent protection from something that would have ultimately destroyed your peace, your purpose, or your spiritual health. God's love for you is too strong to allow you to return to what He knows will harm you. You